You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai and really delighted to be in conversation with Blair Underwood, as in the Tony and two-time Golden Globe nominee and Emmys, Grammys, Peabodys, eight-time NAACP Image Award winning actor, director, and producer. We love him because he starred in some of our favorite films and television shows over the years, including Youngblood. If you've seen Self-Made, inspired by the life of Madam C.J. Walker, you know what I'm talking about. And even Sex and the City. I could go on and on and on and on. But Blair Underwood has taken on a new project that really hits close to home. He has a memoir coming out, a memoir biography titled A Soldier's Wife, My Mother, the Marvelous Mrs. Marilyn A. Underwood. It honors his late mother, Marilyn. And this book details her life as a fashion designer, as an army wife, and her battle with multiple sclerosis. Here to talk to us all about that, the Blair Underwood. Welcome, sir.
Man, I appreciate you, man. If that's not a marquee name, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, come on now. That's a movie star's name right there.
Oh, said the movie star. Thank you, sir.
What's your name, Dr. Nii-Quartelai, baby? What you need?
That's right. Every vowel but O. Yeah,
that's right.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Exactly. Talk to us about this latest undertaking. What a beautiful tribute ahead of Mother's Day for your mother, who no doubt meant so much to you, so much to your family. Talk to us about the origin story of this particular tribute.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate the time and the question. You know, this is a book that my mom wanted to write. It's 50 years in the making. When I was in second grade, she said, I want to write a book. I said, I remember thinking like, okay, that's cool. But what are you going to write about? She said, I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say. And thank you. You mentioned a lot of her past, coming from Buffalo, New York, and following fashion and fashion design, going to Troutpagan Fashion School in New York, the storied fashion school in New York, and then becoming the only Black executive in a company called Barman Brothers in Buffalo, New York, and then marrying my father, who ultimately spent 28 years in the United States Army, retired as a full bird colonel, and thus the soldier's wife, which was a part of who she was. But this book really explains so much of who she was. But the origin story is that she wanted to tell her story, and she accomplished so many of her dreams along the way. And I've had the great privilege of publishing about, I think, 7 or 8 different books right now. This may be the 9th, but I had this unofficial imprint with the Amistad and HarperCollins. I don't write the books, but it's a platform so that authors can be published, and we make deals and let them put their books out there. And to have this platform and not even just try to see if I could finish my mom's vision and dream to complete this book, I would have been grossly remiss. So I ran it by my publisher after she passed away in 2020, and Judith Kerr is her name, my publisher. She got more excited about this book than any other book she said yes to. She said, I think this is a great thing that people can relate to. They don't have to know her name. She's not a famous person, but she's your mother, number one. But who is the woman who raised you? And above and beyond, far beyond me, who is this incredible person who inspired and motivated anybody she met? And that's her story. But she planted the seed when I was in second grade to tell this story.
Well, your mom sounds like such a Renaissance woman, a woman that was clearly ahead of her time. You talk about how this book was 50 years in the making. Talk to us about, what made your mom stand out as much as she did? What made her believe in herself, believe that as a Black woman growing up and coming up when she did, that she could really do anything? I mean, it sounds like your mom has lived many lives.
It's very true. I think part of it came from the deficits of her life. She was an only child, raised by a single mother in Buffalo, New York. We would technically call her an illegitimate child because her parents were not married. My grandfather impregnated my grandmother and then ran away, really, to Canada and started a whole new family. I'm very close to that Canadian family now, but he was out of her life until her 30s when he finally came back into her life. So there was a sense of abandonment. There was a sense of loneliness. And these are things I think she covered up. Yes, I think that was the ultimate expression of that, but it also fueled her. It fueled her to say, I don't care where I've come from. I don't care if my father doesn't want to know me when she was younger until he got to know her in her 30s, but I'm going to do. and I'm going to be, and I'm going to dream. It really was about dreaming. Sometimes that thought of that concept can be mushy and people can dismiss it, but it really is about dreaming. She was one who taught me to dream. She was the one against all odds who said, I don't care if you're this little black boy from Virginia, you want to be an actor, you think you can do this? I believe you can do it. We're going to do it. I'm going to do what I can to help you be successful in that. And she had the audacity to believe in the possibility of life. She was also a Christian woman, so she was very much a woman of faith. So I think she was driven from a lot of what she did not have, but in the face of it, through faith and through defiance, she just, for whatever reason, believed she could overcome, and did.
And speaking of overcoming, that's a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
There are, so many people that are, going to be listening to this and streaming this, who weren't able to clear, that hurdle in life. Talk to us about your mother's relationship with abandonment, right? Because so many folks find themselves in a chokehold when it comes to abandonment related issues, when it comes to issues related to rejection. She certainly could have succumbed to that. She did not. What did she teach you about the relationship with abandonment?
I would tell you that part of the challenges in her life in getting to know my mother, other than the child-mother dynamic, and one of the fascinating parts of uncovering parts of her in writing this book, was that she didn't talk a lot about it. Whatever was ailing her or bothering her, through her multiple sclerosis and being in a wheelchair the last 20 years of her life, she never once complained. That's a blessing and a curse. The curse is maybe you can't help people and inspire people in that way by speaking from a very foundational level about anything, and even abandonment. The way she dealt with it, the way she discussed it was, that's his problem. He wasn't there for me. That's his problem. And then she edified her mother so much and loved her mother so much because she was the one that carried the torch and made sure they both survived.
Talk to us about how you constructed this book. I think it's so cool whenever anybody can commit to keeping a journal. And over the course of my life, I've started and stopped. I'm trying to be more disciplined about it, but it sounds like your mom was very disciplined about keeping a journal. Talk to us about why that was so important to her, and how by doing that, it helped you all to pull together the pieces of this marvelous book.
Yeah, ironically, she wasn't that disciplined. She was like you and me. I'm the same way. She started this book my whole life. She started and stopped. So we had to really find notes and things she had jotted down. But really, a lot of the book is, and I should say, it's written by Yolanda Galt, because I'm not a writer. Again, I create the platform. But it came from interviews from myself and my brother Frank, my two younger sisters, Marlo and Melissa. A lot of her friends from grade school and high school are still with us. My dad, of course, family and friends. So it was really a compilation. And, my mom and dad were actually very successful Amway distributors, had a very large organization in Amway. So a lot of the people in that organization were very, very helpful in giving their perspective. Some of their speeches from stage, from the conventions, helped kind of tell her story. So we kind of stitched all that together. But, she would start and stop. So, you'd find glimpses inside, some of the notes that we did find. My sister Marlo, in her final years, I think like in 2019, she passed in 2020, sat down once again with the yellow notepad and said, all right, let's write this down. We're going to write this. We're going to finish this book. But yeah, so it was just really an amalgamation of so many different sources, disparate groups and people that came together to finish the book.
Well, I feel seen. Now as somebody who has been inconsistent.
Hey man, we share that
in journaling. Let's talk about her marriage to your father, Lieutenant Frank Underwood. We know that she wasn't interested in marriage until she met your dad. Talk to us about what was it about your dad that made her interested, not just marrying him, but really sort of claiming that identity as a soldier's wife.
He will say he was probably just smooth like that. But aside from that, I think she was ready. She was 24 years old when they got married, which was not that young at that time, to get married. And she really wasn't thinking about it. he came along, and I think he checked a lot of boxes. She had been dating a guy I had never heard about till we started doing research on this book. And apparently he was kind of smooth, and she didn't feel, and her girlfriends, this is from their mouths, she didn't feel like he was going anywhere. And she definitely was aspirational. She definitely wanted to live the big life. She wanted to travel. She wanted to see the world. She always had that in her. So I think my dad brought that lifestyle with him. But he was also, he was intelligent. He was honest. And she talked a lot about that. He had integrity, and he was a hard worker. And he was an athlete. He was a warrior. He was a soldier. He was a lieutenant at the time, but he was also an athlete out of Wintersville, Ohio. I think to this day, he holds the most varsity letters at Wintersville High School, because he did every sport. So he was that kind of man and athlete. And I think he looked good in a uniform too, she said. So I think all that all came together at the right time. But part of it was she was ready. I think she was tired of this other relationship, but he brought so much to the table and an excitement to life. But you're right. There was a cost to pay, because she did put her dreams on the back burner to follow fashion design and interior decorating to live this life as a soldier's wife.
Wow. So we have something in common, and my mom's going to kill me, but I've got to tell you, my mom was engaged to another guy when she met my dad in college.
What? Yeah.
And she met my dad, and, fell for my dad. And when she went back after winter break, she broke it off with the guy who ironically was a soldier.
Oh,
right?
Deep. Yeah.
And so, talk to us about, when you go back and you look through these journals, and, when you talk to members of your family to just sort of get a 360 view of what was going on in your mom's life that caused her to sort of move in a different direction. How does it feel, learning more about the contours of your parents' love story? Your parents' origin story. How has that inspired you? How has it shaped you as a man and as an artist?
Yeah. I think the way it inspired me most is, what we do as artists, as actors, the first thing we look for in a character are the flaws. What are the flaws? I mean, you can excite people and inspire people to only a short extent, by only telling them the good things, but we're all dealing with stuff. We're all trying to overcome our own stuff. So I was more interested in what were the obstacles. I saw the obstacles, of course, the physicality of the multiple sclerosis and the mental issues and the depression she went through, and committing suicide, attempting suicide 3 different times, because of just the breakdown, the mental breakdown, and watching that, physically watching that, and then losing her like for 7 months, when she completely shut down, didn't say a word to anyone for 7 months as she was battling depression. But I wanted to understand more of what it was, but also how she overcame it, and understanding more who she was, where she came from as a younger woman, the woman who lived and experienced life before I even met her, before she became my mother. I really wanted to, I felt like I was introduced to her. I never knew her. But really to understand how she overcame those obstacles, and how she navigated it in a different way from what I had seen firsthand, was, I think, really the most inspirational, because that's the things people connect to. I mean, people want to, they like, the accolades are nice, when you reach a level of success in society, that's nice, but we all got stuff we're overcoming. You can touch people and help people by being honest about it. This is what it was, and this was our journey. Some things are not overcome. Some things beat you down, but you still got to find a way to get over it, under it, around it, and through it.